What's going on YouTube? It's Boswell here, and today I wanted to bring you a special video. This is a channel where I show you how to start and finish projects, right? So why not start a project and finish it? And that's what I'm doing today, and this is going to be part one of this series that I'm going to be bringing to you guys. And today, this is the start of a new beginning. If you like videos like this, where I'm going to be showing you how to start and finish projects, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And this has to do with anything business related or entrepreneurial, especially if you want to be an author and a writer and a creator. This is where you need to be, guys. So make sure you subscribe before we continue. But without further ado, let's kick the intro. So as you guys know that I finished my first book and I'm querying agents, and hopefully you are too, or on your way to querying different agents. I don't know, but whatever it is that you're doing, or however far along you are in the process, I decided to start my process anew. Yes, which means I'm starting my next book. I'm already querying agents, and hopefully you are getting ready to, or you're preparing yourself to start querying agents. But I am a writer and I'm gonna do what I do best, which is write. Let's jump straight into it, guys. So you're getting ready to prepare to write a book, or you're currently writing your book. One of my best advice to you right now is before you continue writing, make sure you've read books that are on your genre's bookshelf. For example, I am a sci-fi author / fantasy writer. That's the type of genre that I like writing. And so what would be the better place to do your research about your genre other than Barnes & Nobles or Amazon, Target, wherever these places that sell books? That's where you want to be your first stop to do your research. You want to go and see what's on your bookshelf. Who's your competitors? Who's the leading author in that genre right now? So one of the first things I did is, as far as sci-fi and fantasy, I went to Barnes & Nobles, and this is one of the books. So I had to, sorry guys, I had to cut the light down a little bit, but this is one of the books that I read in the sci-fi genre, and this is Micaiah Johnson's The Space Between Worlds. Good book. Chuck Wendick book. This is currently book that I'm currently reading, and actually it's super long, super thick, super long. However, this is a little bit more of the hardcore sci-fi, even though, you know, it is sci-fi, means science fiction means, but there are chances and possibilities of what could happen in the future. So this is another book that I've also pulled off the shelf. This is another book on TikTok that I thought that I would try out and read. However, this is not my forte. I found that Victoria Aveyard's book, Realmbreak, is not quite my forte. Or it's not that I don't really like reading about it. I prefer more Greek mythology and, you know, anything that deals with, you know, more so gods and Olympic gods and African gods. Those are books that I more so enjoy as far as the fantasy genre go. Anything with vampires and, you know, and werewolves is also a plus. But however, I think the gods and the different types of possibilities about that aspect of fantasy is what I really enjoy most reading about. Things as far as like ancient swords and everything, it's not really my forte. It was when I was a lot younger, but that I can definitely see how that's on the YA genre as far as YA fantasy goes. That's basically, it's for young adults. That book is for. Now back to Micaiah Johnson and Chuck Wendick's books. Those books are more so for adult people who are interested in the possibilities of what could be or what could be occurring now as we speak. We don't know. These are things that we all would like to know, but we have this thing in our mind that just makes our wheels turn just thinking about them, and thought-provoking what if all this did happen or is happening or could be happening in the future. These are things that you want to know as far as how your genre is being wrote about and what is being written, as far as what do you need to deliver as far as the strong points of your story. What do you want to shine in? What do you want to briefly mention, but you don't want to spend too much time on it because that's not the start point of your book. Now, with that being said, what I've done so far is I've managed to, if you can look back on my board, see all those words back there, that's for my new title I'm preparing to start writing. You want to know if you're starting a book like me, this is how I'm doing it. I've asked myself 5 different questions: who, what, when, where, why, also, and how. These are all questions that I wanted to answer before I start writing, because I want to make sure I have a tight rope from start to end. And if I do deviate, that I can always remain close to that rope that I have making my way towards the end. Now, another thing that I like to do is, if you are writing your book and these things do happen, you have these great ideas, interesting ideas that you want to put inside your book. Like, as far as you want to mention a certain pendulum that you're gonna tie in at the end of your story or the mid story. You also you don't want to make sure you mention them and then forget about to write about or tie it in as the book go on, because readers will be like, hey, what happened to the pendulum that they mentioned in chapter 2, but now it's the end of the book and the pendulum was never mentioned again. You don't want to do that. So you always want to make sure you are tying all your plot holes back into the storyline, and don't do that, because that is important, because critical readers and people who are critical thinkers, which I think most readers are critical thinkers, they will always wonder why you didn't do that, or think it was a mistake, or maybe it wasn't a mistake and maybe you are teasing them. And it's not a tease, it's literally the author forgot to tie it in. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be writing about as I go on and I make my way through this new story that I'm going to be starting on today. And I say today as of March 15, 2022. So last year I started my book in May. I had to sell my house. I started writing the book in May, and I think I got to the first maybe 1 or 2 chapters, and I sold my house in June. So pretty much everything I put my house on the market to go and sell in June. So I didn't get to write for like almost a whole month. But finally, when I sold the house, we got into Airbnb, and I continued to write. I think I finished chapter 3 inside the Airbnb before my next house was ready for me to move in during the closing process. So once I moved in, guys, I jumped on it. I focused a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of effort, and I delivered the book in September. I had the first draft completed. So in September, the first draft was completed, and then I went through an editing process between September all the way through, let's say, December, where I wrote my final draft. So you're talking about a book that I finished in 4 months, but the editing process carried over another 3 months, and I learned a lot during that process. So this is why this series is important, because I'm going to be explaining to you directly exactly what I'm doing and how I finished my project. Because let's be honest, if you're going to be writing a book, you're not going to know how to write it. You're just going to know that you have a story and you're going to lay it out, boom, 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 and that's going to be your main process as far as delivering this book onto paper. Because without a story, you don't have anything to deliver to the editor, and the editor can't give you any feedback because you don't have a story. So you got to start somewhere. And most new authors just start writing, and I get it. It's not a bad idea to just start writing, because it can be difficult and intimidating to write a story. I know a lot of people who thought about writing a story who just could not finish writing a story, or couldn't even get that little voice in the back of their head to be quiet enough, long enough for them to start writing, at least get their foot on the ground. So, but for everybody who wants to get their foot on the ground and you are contemplating about writing this book, this is the series for you. Today, as of March 15, 2022, I'm going to be starting my second book, and glad I'm on my rookie year as far as being an author. It's almost up. I actually published my first children's book last year in May. And it was for my birthday. I published my first book on my birthday last year, and my rookie year is almost up. And now I'm getting more settled into the environment of entrepreneurship as far as being an author, a writer, and a creator. And here I am a year later, and I thought, hey, why not bring other people along with me on this journey? It's a special journey, and it is fulfilling to start a project and not only start it but finish it. We all have this ADHD, and we like doing a million things at time. 1, 2, 3. We like just check, but then we look back, nothing's finished. So let's finish a project. Let's start them. Not only start them, but we're gonna finish them. And this is why I bring people to this channel and primary purpose of this channel. And like I said, it doesn't have to be that you want to be an author or a writer or a creator. It can be anything, guys. If you have a business that you want to start, this is the channel for you, because I'm motivational. I like giving motivational speeches. I'm a full-time. I work as a manager in public service, and it's managing people, and I see all the different personalities. I see the people who have the ambition, but they don't have the drive, and it's the vice versa. People have drive, but with no ambition. They just steering in any direction you send them in. So right now we're gonna gear and we're gonna focus down, and we're gonna target our main goal, and that's where we're gonna go to, and we're gonna use that ambition and that drive to get there. And you guys are gonna come with me. Now, for my authors who are just now starting to wanting to write their first book, or you wrote your first book and now you are ready to move on to the next step, but you're gonna have to go back and visit some of my other videos where I showed you what to do next, what's the next step you should be taking. However, for my first time authors who are just now writing their book, you're just starting, maybe you've already wrote down your first summary of the book from start to end, what's gonna happen and what's gonna happen at the end. Maybe you've done that before, which is great. That's awesome, because now you have a rope tied from start to finish, which is awesome. Good job. So what I'm gonna do is, I've already done that. That's on my board back there. That's already done for me. It's already been completed. So I know my storyline. I know what's gonna happen at the end, and how I'm gonna start the book off. I already know what's gonna be my author's resolve, what's gonna be discovered, and what's gonna be the main purpose of my authors completing this mission throughout the book. Now, my book is sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi author. That's my genre. That's the genre. That's the type of writing style that I like and I enjoy writing and reading about. Otherwise, I'll just write some other book that, I really have no interest in doing, but we don't want to do that. But one thing that I've learned to do is just looking at these books inside of these categories is that most of them have a narrator. And if you don't know what I mean by that is, if you're reading a book and then there becomes this dialogue where no characters are talking, you just have the omnipresence of the narrator who's going through and telling you what's unfolding, and then the characters are digesting what's unfolding, but they also letting the readers know how the characters are going to be reacting, or you can at least start to guess how the character is going to be reacting based on their personality that the author has built over time for that character. That's one thing that I've realized, is that all these books have presence of a narrator inside them. So that is just one of the things that you may want to put in your repertoire or put on your things, your list to do as. If you're going to start writing a book, this is what's in the industry currently. People are writing, most authors who are already published and well established are writing with narrators. So they're eventually narrating the story as it goes on, so readers are not being lost into the dialogue. That's like I don't want to say it's a mistake that I made with my first book. I wrote my first book without a narrator, so my book is pretty much dialogue between characters, which can become a little confusing over time if you don't know the pedigree that these characters are thinking, or what's their pedigree. You know that these characters are smart and they can deduce certain situations pretty quickly or fairly quickly than other characters. However, it's still not out there because the readers are not informed. You have this godlike presence of your characters and your main characters and your side characters who are already aware of what's going on, but you as the reader don't know because you're just in the story and you're reading and you expect that to be delivered. That can also be cut out if you just implement the narrator inside your story. And pretty much that's what's in the current genres right now. Anyway, so why not do that? Especially if you plan on going the traditional route and publishing through a publisher and getting signed on with an agent. I think these are some of the things that agents are looking for currently. They want to see the presence of a narrator and what the book is being written about. If the story is there, but there is no narration going on with the book, then a lot of agents are probably going to quickly pass on that. And if it's written in present tense or past tense, you gotta look at my video right there. I have a video for that as well. Most books that are written and are published are written in the past tense. So you might want to write your books in past tense. That's how you're gonna give yourself a stronger possibility of getting signed with an agent and getting your book pushed on to a publisher. These are some of the things that you should look out for, and you want to make sure you're doing your due diligence and go do your research. Go to Barnes & Nobles, go to Target, go to your Walmart, and look at what's on the shelves in your genre, because that's ultimately going to show you what you need to do, how you need to deliver your books, and how you need to write them. But, you know, there's always that unique story that you can deliver to the people. You don't have to be the person who makes the same stories and reruns, and so you can bring something new to the table, but you can also make sure you stick to what people are looking for as far as the agents and the publishing houses, because ultimately that's the goal. You want to be published. Let's do that, guys. I'm starting off. I finished storyboarding my main character, so I'm going to start storyboarding my story, just the introduction, maybe chapter 1, and I'm just going to give some background and light into the story about what's unfolding and basically who my character is. And my character is basically a character from my first book that I wrote that I really loved her. I love this character so much that I decided to dedicate a series of books to her, because I just loved it. I just loved that book, that first book that I wrote so much, and I'm gonna build off this world that I built inside of my head. So all my stories are gonna pretty much come from off this world that I built into my head. That's gonna lead to stories that are all going to intertwine with each other as they continue to unfold, as they continue to develop. That's it for today, guys. So make sure if you are writing a story, if you haven't, the only thing I want you to take from this video, if you are writing a book right now, if you are starting to decide, today is the day that you are starting to write this story. The only thing I really want you to take out of this video is once you put it on paper, it becomes a thing. These thoughts in your head, put them on paper, write them out, because they go from imagination to paper, and then it becomes real. It becomes the entity. That main character, once he or he is on paper, or it is on paper, it is now real. And now you have a main character to make your story develop into this beautiful flower or beautiful butterfly to develop into. So guys, at the end of the day, write. Isaac Lewis here, guys. And until next time, I see you later. So get to writing, get to doing. We are doers at the end of the day. See y'all later.